Hey everyone, this is MeiYu. Welcome to Fun Friday. Every Friday, I try to do something new, fun, or challenging. I'm excited to announce that I've released my brand new kawaii cute coloring book. It's on my MeiYu bookstore on Amazon, and more info is at the end. I'll also be sharing some more amazing fan coloring creations. So this is coloring video number 6, and I'll be coloring in my Forest of Fantasy coloring book. I know many of you already own this one, either as the regular size like what I have here, or as one of the large formats. In case you have this title, feel free to color along, and if not, no worries, my link's in the video description. You can get your copy, and you can watch this video again and color with me. Alright, so I'll be doing a $1 marker versus a $100 marker challenge because I love to encourage all of you to engage more with your creativity no matter what kinds of art supplies you might have. So I've got my $1 marker pack I bought from the dollar store. They're very colorful. I've also got my touch markers, which are about $5 each. So here's $100 worth of touch markers. They're alcohol-based markers, the ones I use usually for my other reimagined and art challenges. And I think they might look quite different from the dollar store markers, but we'll have to see. So as always, I have a couple of pieces of copy paper underneath the image I'm coloring, so that way, in case some of the inks do go through, it's not going to seep onto the next image. In the beginning, I was thinking about what kind of color scheme I wanted for this piece, and because I've done a lot of really vibrant colors, lots of like a wide variety of colors, especially in my previous coloring book videos, I wanted to restrict some of the colors that I use for this particular piece because I wanted to play with just like a more limited color palette. I do think sometimes if you limit certain colors, it presents an interesting and unique challenge, and so that makes you think in a more creative way. So this time I'm not going to go I'm not going to go into all kinds of vibrant colors. I'm only going to choose a select few. One thing I noticed right away when I was doing the first layer of light green was the dollar store light green actually turned out to be a lot darker than I was expecting. So sometimes I think how the marker looks like from the outside might differ a little bit from what the actual color is. So that's just something you want to keep in mind if you're doing a similar like if you're using similar materials. Because I want a more dimensional look to this overall piece, I'm going to be adding more layers and colors on top of the hair. Something that I noticed when I was coloring with the dollar store markers versus my touch alcohol-based markers was that the tips of the pens for the dollar store ones, they were quite hard. They didn't have a lot of flexibility. And I felt if I weren't careful or if I put more pressure on the pen, it might have scraped the paper a bit on my coloring book. So that's just something that I was mindful of. And in case any of you are using similar materials, if you feel that the tip is really hard or rigid or very pointed or coarse, then try not to put too much pressure on it and just go gently and easily on the paper. Oh, by the way, thank you for all your feedback in my previous coloring book video where you told me that you liked the side-by-side comparison presentation versus the one after the other kind of presentation that I did before. So I think for today's video, I thought the side-by-side comparison was best for what I wanted to show, the difference between the dollar versus the $100 markers. So I might go between the side-by-side versus the one after the other formats. Just depends on if I feel that format is better suited for that particular challenge. So far, I'm really liking the limited color palette of the different greens and the golds and oranges. I do feel that if I just centered my focus on these two major colors and varying shades of them, like gold and green, or let's say yellows, oranges, and greens, it's a It's a very unique color combination, I feel, and I haven't really done like artwork with that kind of feeling before, so I think this is quite striking and it's quite, it's a little different from what I usually do. And I feel that's one of the really fun things when it comes to being an artist or being creative, is that you can, push different boundaries. If you want to explore a certain area or a certain color scheme you haven't really tried before, you can totally go ahead and do that without, like too much fear of, if it doesn't work out, then, oh no, I failed. Like to me, there's no such thing as failure in art. There's no right or wrong in art. It's just, if you like it, then it's fine. If you don't like it, then you can always think of ways to correct it or to learn from it, improve from it, and just keep going. And that's one of the big reasons why I'm so proud of all of you who have been coloring in my different coloring books. I know that you're taking these pictures that I've made and you're making them your own, your very own unique personal pieces that only you can make. And there's no right or wrong when you're in control, when you're coloring in these coloring books. Just have fun, let your creativity and imagination run wild. I feel it's very satisfying to have that creative freedom. Another thing I thought was pretty cool when I was looking at the differences between the $1 markers and the $100 markers was that the strokes of the $1 markers tend to be more like I don't want to say coarse, but they don't blend in as much with each other, which is it creates an interesting texture. And you can see on the other side where the alcohol-based, like the brush pen, like the brush tips of my touch markers, they tend to blend in with each other more. So the overall feeling looks a little softer. So you have this interesting comparison of the harder edges versus the softer blends of the markers, of the two different types of markers. And depending on what kind of look you're going after or coloring style you like, both of them can be great. Some of you are asking, how would I handle very fine details? For example, like in the little parts and the butterflies here. So if I were using my touch markers with the brush tip, then I would just touch the paper very gently with the tip and just let the ink kind of soak into the paper a little bit without putting too much pressure on it. If I had a more of a rigid tip pen like the $1 markers, then I'll probably just touch the paper more a little bit, because the harder tips, the ink, I found out the inks don't tend to seep into the paper as much, so I'll probably go into that area a little bit more, but I will let the ink do most of the job. Basically, the harder the tip, then I would tend to usually have less pressure on the pen, and sometimes I would even angle the pen at an angle, so then I'm using part of the side of the tip more rather than just at the very tip of it. But all of my coloring books have helpful tips at the beginning to help you get the most out of the coloring book with your different materials. And all the images are printed on the one side. Each image has a black backing on the other side, so then you don't have to worry about ink seeping through and ruining the next image. You basically just put some copy paper between each image that you're working on, and then that should be good enough to prevent inks from seeping through onto the next image. I really liked how I was balancing the darker oranges, and then I was actually going into some reds as well into the details of the butterflies. I was balancing that with the yellows that I put in before with some white areas, because I don't want everything to be colored in, because I felt that might make everything look a bit too clunky. So I wanted some white areas just to give a little breather in those different parts. And then to contrast all of the oranges and yellows, I went in with more greens, like lighter greens and darker greens and even some mint green. So that kind of helped tie all of the different parts of the image together. I know the MeiYuArt coloring community is growing every week, and I've seen so many different kinds of coloring creations that you've all done in my different coloring books with all kinds of different art mediums and supplies. And let me know what kind of art supplies you like to use the most, and I'll be sharing some more of your fantastic fan creations in the end of this video coming very soon. And let me know which one do you like better, the $1 marker version or the $100 marker version. Okay, there you go. So I'm only using one copy of this coloring book to do this challenge. Most of my coloring books have 2 sets of every image, so you can do lots of cool challenges and you can do greater variations of the same image. Like this is what I did before in my previous coloring video where I did markers versus colored pencils. I just used one copy of that coloring book called Unicorn Utopia. Also, this art challenge is to show you that it doesn't matter what kinds of like art supplies or markers you have, whether it's $1 or $100 worth, you can still make really good use of my coloring books. Basically, practice makes the big difference. In the beginning, when I was picking up markers, I had more choices for the touch markers, like the $100 markers, than the $1 markers. So based on what I had for the $1 markers, I chose those $100 marker colors, because if I did it the other way around, I felt I wouldn't have as much choice. So I made the markers match as much as I could. Some of you are asking if my images in my coloring books are printed double-sided or single-sided. So all of the images are printed on the one side, and then each image has its own black backing. So that really helps prevent the inks from seeping through onto the next image. And I always recommend having a couple of pieces of copy paper in between each image as you're coloring. So then your next image is completely clear and clean from any colors that might bleed through. And here is the touch markers, the $100 marker version. I just want to show you the black backing of this piece because it is so interesting. I don't know, can you see that? That is so cool, right? Like you can see it's kind of like a shadow image of the piece I just colored. And I'm guessing it's because the touch markers, they're alcohol-based markers. And I guess the inks had it reacted to the black backing like this. It just looks so cool. It doesn't affect the actual image on the front, but the back is just, I don't know, I just wanted to show you that. It's kind of cool. And of course, I also had my copy paper here, so then the next image is just clear and it doesn't have any kind of ink seeping through onto it. Alright, now you have to check this out. I am so proud again of all of you who have shared all of your amazing fan creations since the last time I shared your creations in my video. I've collected over 100 fan creations since then, and all of you are just so creative with your different ways and coloring schemes and different coloring techniques. I love that our MeiYuArt coloring community is so diverse in terms of, people from all over the world, many different countries, fans from all over have my coloring books and they're enjoying themselves. They're unleashing their creativity in the different pages. I love how some of you have very vibrant color schemes, and some of you also are into more dramatic, bold colors. Some of you are more into muted or pastels or light colors. And some of you love your glitter paints or glitter gel pens. So I love all of those different very unique creations that you've shared on Instagram and also in your Amazon reviews. Thank you all so much for continuing to share your creations and post them online. You are not only, showing us how you took these different artworks and my line art, you're also inspiring more people to get in on coloring and to engage in their own creativity. So you're spreading the love of art through your own art. I love the fact that some of you are doing buddy colors over the summer, and it's just really fun to see you with your friends teaming up or challenging each other to see how everyone handles the different coloring pages in their own unique ways. I'm glad some of you also got my coloring books for your children or little cousins to encourage their creativity and, for them to explore their imaginations, at home or on road trips, vacations, at school, or wherever they might go. I'm really glad to see that you're supporting them early on, and I'm sure they'll create lots of great memories with my coloring books. And by coloring in my books, they're getting a head start on their creative skills, their creative thinking, their problem solving. I remember when I was a kid, and my dad would always buy me these coloring books, and those were, some really helpful times for me to start to explore my creative side when I was really young. And when I look back now, some of my fondest memories were just me sitting there, during after schools, for example, in the afternoons, I would just color in these coloring books, and that I think it really helped me develop my thinking process from an early age. What a beautiful collection of your fan creations, everyone. Keep posting on the hashtag MeiYuArt on Instagram and in your Amazon reviews in case you want to get more of my coloring books. All of my books, including my coloring books and how to draw books, are on my MeiYu bookstore on Amazon. The link is in the video description. Thank you all for sharing, and I cannot wait to start collecting more fan creations to show in a future video. Here's my new kawaii cute coloring book. It's new on my MeiYu bookstore on Amazon, and it's filled with super kawaii, adorable characters that are very easy to color with simple designs that's made for fast, quick, and easy fun. This is great for beginners of all ages, as well as kids, tweens, teens, and adults, because who doesn't like cute kawaii things? I made these especially for those who don't have a lot of time to color in lots of intricate detail, or those who like to finish something quickly and still looks nice. You'll find all kinds of kawaii things in there, like little animals, adorable pets, little food, and other kawaii designs. So you can go on a cute coloring adventure. The lines are thicker, so it makes it easier to color inside the lines. It's also a nice design element that emphasizes the characters and makes them striking and stand out. More infos on this book's Amazon page. Click the link in the video description to see my MeiYu bookstore, and from there you can see all of my books, including this new one. I hope my new book makes it even easier to get started on your creative journey with these easy-to-color designs. Own yours or give this as a thoughtful gift for someone creative in your family. Happy coloring!